Yep, all right. So Juan, what I got for you here, I've got two brand new out of the box glazed porcelain tiles. Very common tile that we treat, very common tile to see on floors. I select this one for demo purposes because it does have a nice glaze to it. So you can kind of see in the light there that it's got a nice shine to it that our product will not affect. So both of these tiles aren't treated yet. So we just spray them with water. And of course we know what the effects of that's going to be. They're going to be very slippery. So whether I push my hand on it to simulate walking on the floor barefoot, it's very slippery. I've got a shoe here with concrete in it to simulate some body weight stepping on the floor. And you can see the shoe just very easily slides and hydroplanes across the floor like any wet floor would when it's wet. So now we're going to make this floor safe. And what we do, this is how the chemical arrives to you. It's packaged in these 1-gallon containers, and it is in a straight formula. The chemical is always diluted with water when we apply it. And the most common dilution we use is 1 part chemical to 3 parts water. That's a dilution that's used on about 80% of the flooring, so which is what this tile is as well. So I just got a little measuring cup here. I'm going to put a 1/2 ounce of SureStep in it, and then I'm going to put in a 1.5 ounces of water, and that'll give us our 1 to 3 dilution. And then all you do is pour it on the floor, and we're first going to just use this little hand applicator and just make sure we get the chemical spread out evenly over the tile. And that is basically as far as how simple it is to apply it. Just this chemical sitting on this tile, it's working right now. So it doesn't have to be scrubbed or moved around or agitated. Just the chemical being on the floor at the correct dilution is what's making it non-slip. While that's waiting, this tile takes about 4 minutes to treat. So I'm just going to kind of take a look at the clock so we know about when it's done. But what it's doing to this tile scientifically is this untreated tile here, if you look at it under a microscope, it looks like the surface of a ping pong ball. It's smooth and hard and very slippery. What we're doing to the treated tile, what SureStep does, is it microscopically makes this tile look like the surface of a golf ball. The SureStep chemical dissolves the soft minerals in the tile, leaving its hard minerals exposed. So every tile and stone has hard and soft agents in it, and the chemical is only strong enough to affect the soft minerals in it. So essentially what it's doing is it's changing the surface from a ping pong ball to a golf ball. And with all those little dimples like a golf ball, that now gives channels and a place for water to disperse. So when pressure is applied to it, like with your foot, the water is pushed out of those little dimples. They act like suction cups, and that's where you get your grip. Now, the reason we do the treatment, or we guarantee it for 1 year on a commercial floor and 5 years residential, is the treatment will last is basically as long as the tile does. So what I mean by that is every day that this floor is walked on and every day it's cleaned, it's wearing it down microscopically like a rock in a river. Just gets smoother and smoother. So what happens is after our SureStep treated tile, as that gets walked and cleaned and abused, it too just microscopically wears down, and that wear eventually catches up to the treatment that we did to it, and then over time we'll turn it back from a golf ball surface back into a ping pong ball surface, and then we reapply the treatment. So basically we just stay 1 step ahead of the normal wear of the tile. Sometimes when you're doing just 1 tile, the chemical kind of runs off it a little bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit more here. And you can kind of test it by feel. When I push my fingers on it, you'll see there it's actually already working. So we have a wet, soapy tile right now, and you can see when I push my fingers on it, my table and the tile move before my hand. There's no slipping there, so that tells you that it's done. You can see I'm touching the chemical with my bare skin. There's nothing dangerous about it. You would treat the chemical like anything else under your kitchen sink. You wouldn't want to bathe in it. You wouldn't want to splash it in your eyes or drink it, but it is safe to handle, and you don't need to wear any protective clothing. So once the tile is treated, we just rinse the chemical off with water. Water dilutes the chemical, and I'll kind of dry this off for you a little bit so you can see the visual results of it. So now we have the untreated tile here on your right, the treated tile on your left, and you can see that there's no change in the appearance of it whatsoever. The gloss and the shine is still there, no change in aesthetics. The only difference now is this tile is safe when wet. So we'll get water back on the floor again. And again, slide with your hand across the tile. Now this one, as hard as you want to push, you cannot slip on it. Same with the shoe. Our shoe slides right across the untreated tile, no problem. Get it on the treated tile, it now stops on it. And as hard as you want to push and push your weight into it, this shoe is not going to move. That floor is now safer wet than dry. And I'll show you one kind of last thing here. I'll put these tiles right on the floor to show you what it's like when people actually step on it. So here is our untreated tile, very slippery when wet. And then we go into our treated tile, and you can actually see the tile will slide across the floor before my foot. I can stomp on it as hard as I want to push. I cannot move my foot on this tile. So that is what SureStep does.